ladies. How are you today? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Let's Talk a Relationship. And I have a great show on today or tonight, wherever you are in the world. Please hashtag live or hashtag replay if you're watching this on the replay. But you have to watch this segment. We're going to be talking about how are you showing up in your relationships. And I'm so excited because I have a very special guest who is one of my friends, dear friends, as well as an exceptional and amazing man who I love having conversations with in any topic, of course. And I want to introduce to you Dr. James H. Carpenter Barnes. Now, I know last time I forgot the carpenter part, but I am not forgetting it this time. And James is an author, a speaker into personal growth. He also has his own radio program. But without any further ado, I am going to bring him onto the show. Welcome, Dr. James.
Good evening, good morning, it's evening here, morning there. I think
Yeah,
it's what, 15-hour difference or something like that.
it is.
Yeah,
It is. It
yeah.
is.
It's a
Isn't it
it's a
great?
it's a joy to be with you again and to anticipate us having a great conversation, an awesome discussion. And I never know what you're going to come up with.
Likewise, because you dropped some nuggets as well, and we all love hearing them. But I thought we would talk today about, as you know, the topic is how do we show up in our relationships? And I think this is a really quite an important topic because even though we may show up in the beginning a certain way because we want to make a good impression, we want to um, you know leave some memorable thoughts in that other person's mind, we want to um, add excitement or whatever it is, but then also how we're showing up later on in the relationship as well, because it's not only how you show up in the beginning, it's how you show up in all stages of your relationship. Wouldn't you
Yeah,
agree,
I
James?
agree because in the courtship stages of any relationship, be it business, romantic, even family relationships, there's always an element of newness. For
Mm.
instance, in romantic relationships, oxytocin plays a big part in you being more present, being more agreeable, being more helpful, more understanding, because there is you have an extra unction there with that hormone urging you to be on your best behavior so you can experience the best of that person, and once that oxytocin starts to wear away, because it wanes as the relationship goes on, the relationship goes into a more stable um, condition or state, and that's when the real love is developed, not just attraction, not just um, a a sensual desire for a person, but a a a firm commitment, a duty-fied commitment. And that's when showing up really matters, because you're not, that person isn't new. You're not brand new anymore. So you find out fairly quickly, are you really into this person, or are you just attracted to them?
Mm.
Do you really admire them? Because my philosophy is, if a man doesn't admire a woman, he cannot be in love with her. I don't
Wow.
believe
Can you
I
just
don't
can you just repeat that again, please?
I don't believe
James.
a man can say he's in love with a woman
Mm,
if he does not admire her.
mm.
Because
Yeah.
a woman is a man's glory. Like, a woman's glory is her hair. The scriptures never said that a man was a woman's glory. A woman is a man's glory, and the woman's glory is her hair. And so there needs to be an admiration there. And that admiration, it gives life to so many beautiful components to that relationship. So it's a synergy that happens, and it's as you admire her, she begins to lift you up to a place and esteem you highly. And the scripture says that Abraham's wife called him Lord, Lord. She called him Lord, and he, and like in turn, treated her in a certain way. He spoke kindly to her. He spoke to her with love. And so as you do that, there's a reciprocation that happens. And as that thing happens, it's like a wheel. And like Tina Turner said, the big wheels keep on turning.
Yes.
Proud Mary keep on burning, rolling down the river. You're rolling down the river of life as each partner is contributing to the components of that relationship. And if one person takes a stutter step, say, I'm tired of you. There's the momentum right there, because when he stops giving to her, or she stops feeding him the esteem, and he stops giving her the admiration, now you got a problem. She don't understand me. She's selfish. It's all about her all the time. Or he's so selfish. He wants to hang out with his friends. He doesn't want to come home to me. Well, I beg the question, what are you giving him to come home to? And conversely, when you come home, what are you bringing her? When you walk in the house, everybody in that house should be filled with glee. If you're the man of that house, when the woman comes home after a period of absence, when she walks in that house, there should be a sense of relief. Number one, that she's home safely. Number two, that she came home to you.
Yeah.
All right. And number three, she came home without giving you the stink eye, because she was angry when she left, and she's still angry. And she looks at you with one eye closed and the other one poked out, because she's wishing you weren't home. I mean, I've heard it.
They're really painting a scene here, James.
Yeah,
because it's true.
That's what happens. And when you say, how do you show up in your relationship? How do you show up when you walk in the door? How do you show up? How you show up means, what do they see when you walk through the door? Do they see joy? Do they see excitement? Do they see laughter? Do they see fulfillment and a positive future? Or do they see another evening of boredom, tedious, nitpicking, snide remarks? Did you pick up so?
Yeah.
Did you pick up so and so? Did you remind me to pick up so and so? Then no, I didn't pick it up. Or, oh, did you get the clothes from the cleaners? Why would I get the clothes from the cleaners? Those are your clothes. They're not mine. I don't wear them. I don't wear dresses.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just sorry, keep going. What was that?
Those are the little things that eat away at the esteem that she gives him and the admiration that he gives her.
Right. Which we're just going to break there for a second. I just want to acknowledge the lovely audience that we have today. We have the lovely Wendy. Hello, Wendy. Good evening to you. And we have a Facebook user. Good evening. Someone that's on private. Whoever you are, you may want to type your name in. Happy to have you here. And the lovely Zanetta. Hello, Bella. And hello, Dr. James. So pleased to have you here. Back to what you were saying. So true. Dr. James. And come on now, Dr. James H. Barnes. I'm not sure what they're referring to, that maybe the coming home with the one eye out and,
Yeah, I'm telling you. I remember growing up, my mother married a gentleman that He was a hardworking guy. He had an alcohol problem. And I used to hear her say, I can't stand him. Ooh, I just can't stand him. And I'm thinking, well, why you marry him? So one day she told me because she was living with him. She and my grandmother, before she passed away, made my mother promise she would marry this guy. And my mother did not want to marry him,
Mm.
but she did. And so I know that I've seen it when a person comes home and there is no joy, there is no anticipation. When I come home to my house, when I walk in the door, the atmosphere changes. When I walk in the door, my wife stops what she's doing and greets me, squeezes the life out of me, and kisses me 3-4 times and says, "Hello, darling." And it's like, "Hey, baby, what's going on?"
Of course, that's
Even and Christian's in his spot. He turns around, he's looking for me. Where I hear his voice, where is he? So instead of a feeling of anxiety and fretfulness, there's love, there's joy, there's peace, there's fulfillment. So how you show up literally means when you step on the scene, any scene involving your mate especially, but other situations on your job, when you step in to that situation, that atmosphere should change for the positive.
Yeah, definitely. And
If
I
it
think
doesn't,
mm,
you are not being the maximum version of yourself that you could be.
mm, absolutely. Now, obviously, it doesn't start off like that because, you kinda got together, so there must have been some kind of, interaction,
Yeah.
admiration,
Hmm.
um, love, so to speak, or, attention. And often what happens, I believe, we get into the rut and we get into this, I guess, what about me? What about me?
Yeah.
What about me, right? And I think what happens is we're focusing more about ourselves than actually giving,
And
which
see,
I
that's that. Oh my gosh. Why you have to say that? Because you hit the nail on the head. You get the Carpenter Award for that because you hit the nail on the head because love is not about you.
Mhm.
Love is not about what you take in. It's about what you give. I was talking with a coworker today, and I was just telling Wendy this. The important thing um, in any friendship or relationship, because a romantic relationship is also a friendship. And I was saying it's very important. It's just as important to know how to receive as well as to give.
Oh, yeah.
It's vital. And as I said before, early on, oxytocin plays a big part in people being on their best behavior because you're trying to gain that person's confidence. You're seeking to experience that person's either experience her body or his body, or to step into their world if they're a person of renown, a person of significance socially or financially, or if in the religious world they're a leader, and you desire to travel in that circle. So there's an excitement. Political people have tremendous willpower, and so a lot of women are drawn to that power. Okay, and so initially there is an excitement there being drawn, whether it's sexual power, societal power, financial power, intellectual power. There is a power there that that person can be drawn to. And what's supposed to happen is supposed to morph into a genuine love where each is focusing on giving more than they receive.
Mm, mm.
If we have a friendship, Stefania, where I'm always seeking to give more to you than you give me, and you're always seeking to give me more than I give you, what kind of a friendship are we going to have?
Dynamic.
A very fruitful and beneficial one.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm trying to get all I can get from you while giving you as little on my side as I can, eventually there's going to be resentment. So you're showing up as a selfish, self-serving, lustful person. And that gets old quick.
It does. It does. Because once again, we are in the state of having rather than giving. We are in the state of doing rather than being. Correct?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, we've touched on another one there.
Here we go. Here we go. The roller coaster's climbing the hill. You said it.
Yeah, and I think that is so important, because when you shift your state of being, when you shift your focus and you pivot on, how can I give more? How can I give in a way that, is gonna make that person lighten up in some way? The focus isn't on yourself, right? Like, as you said, the focus is then on them. So you're not coming through with that
Yes.
wanting, that scarcity, that feeling of lack, that feeling of, I'm not getting loved. I'm not getting any attention here. Because when you do give from a place of love, when you do give from a place of authenticity and being real about it, you just give freely. Right?
You do.
You don't worry about, whether you're getting back or not, because you're filled up with, your own love, or your love from God, the creator, the universe, wherever you're drawing your love from, and you're just sharing that. You're not coming from a place of scarcity. And I think that is so important. And that is what's going to, I believe, take your relationship or how you show up to the next level.
It does. It impact the way you are in your home. That is your domain. That the way you are in your home, chances are, if you're selfish, if you're narcissistic, if you're self-centered in your relationship at home, you're going to be that way. You could be single, not even in a relationship, and still be a selfish, self-centered, narcissistic person. And the reason I say that is because it's going to show up in the relationships or the interactions, I'll say, that you have that are unable to develop into fruitful, life-giving relationships because you choke it off before it gets a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I think is really important, even to notice that in the beginning stages of a relationship. And say, for example, the first couple of dates, because how is that person showing up not only in front of you, but with other people when you're interacting and you're going on these dates? Say, for example, the common one is, how is he treating the waitress, or she treating, anyone else around her? Because that is a clear sign that they're warning signs, really, that shouldn't be ignored. Because the way she treats other people, the chances are she's going to be treating, or he is going to be treating you down the line. So, because have you ever been with someone where I've experienced where, they're just so sweet with you, and then all of a sudden they pivot and they get really nasty and maybe even say a swear word, and then come back and it's all like, sweet, honey.
What does that do to you? When you see that, what message do you get from that?
Oh, man, I just think, okay, I just know who you are. You've just blown it.
You know what it is? Let me tell you what that is.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a person demonstrate that behavior, what they're showing you is this: that if there's not something in it for me that's going to gratify me, I'm going to treat you in a horrible way. I'm not going to give you respect. I'm not going to give you consideration. because there's nothing in it for me. You're sitting across the table from me and you know exactly what's on my mind because I've been looking at you cross-eyed all night. All right.
Yeah,
Every
so
time, I've been looking at you and looking at you. And before I finally get you to go out with me, you seen me looking at you. So let me see what this guy's about. So you have a vested interest in being your best in order to obtain your target objective. Once you attain your target objective, the desire is going to wane
mm,
because the oxytocin has dropped. Again, oxytocin is that driving desire to be sexually intimate with the opposite sex early on. And that's what draws people, but that's not what keeps them.
no.
See, that was the thing that my wife liked about me was because of the life I'd lived. I'm not drawn by how a woman looks. And I didn't even realize how fine my wife was until maybe 3 or 4 weeks after we went on our first date. She was walking in front of me at a restaurant and she had this dress on. It was kind of short. And I was walking and I looked, Stefania, honest to goodness, I remember it just like it was yesterday. We were at a restaurant and she was walking in front of me and I looked and I went, and I said to myself, wow, she is, oh my God. I didn't see it. I didn't see her like that. And I told her that later. And she said, really? I said, yeah, I didn't see you that way. And so our initial connection was she wanted to hear about my book and I wanted her to hear about my book. And that was our link, my book that
Yeah.
was in handwritten raw state. But my point is that when you start out from the neck up in the relationship,
Mm,
and that's where the admiration comes in because you get to see who that man is, who that woman is. You get to experience their charisma, their intellect, their beauty, their wisdom. A lot of men don't even realize how wise their wife is.
because they're just
They
so
don't realize the level of intellect.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Because they're only drawn to the physical in the beginning. And I think what you said earlier, that being drawn from the neck up,
Mm-hmm.
um, not only for the relationship itself, but I think as a woman, because I mean, women get hit on all the time. Let's face
Mm-hmm.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
women out there, I know we've got lots of women in the audience right now. Just, put #1 to let us know. Yep, definitely. But that's not what we really aspire to. Yeah, like, oh, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one that's admiring my, my butt, my boobs, my this, my that. Because they say it. And it's not that we want to be
No.
admired for. It's
No.
that we have a brain. There's more to us than just a body. We have something up here. So when you do make that connection, and like you did with, Wendy, which was just, perfect. Like it's the ideal connection. You were drawn to her mind, her interest in your book, her mind in your mind. So you were basically, I guess I call it like seducing the mind
Yeah.
in a way, inverted commas, in a way that's not sexual at all, but it's engaging, it's mystifying, it just creates all
Yeah.
that spark.
Yeah. Ideally, in an ideal situation, um, a person who is a sapiosexual person wind up in a better relationship situation because they're drawn to that part of a person that only gets better as time goes on. And that's the mind. The mind gets better. The gravity is going to do a job on you. Gravity
Yes.
is working
No matter what.
against you every single day. It's not just holding you to the planet, it's holding parts of your body towards the planet, pulling it down every single day. You know, you wake up. That's why people say you gotta wake up, you gotta wash up, you gotta hurry up because you're trying
Bring
to
it all
fight
up.
gravity to stay up, you know?
I
And so
love it.
gravity
I
is
love it.
working against you, but your mind, your heart,
Mm.
your passions, your desires, you know, and oh my gosh, when you focus on that, I could listen to my wife, and I don't mean to be talking about her, but
No, let's
she's
talk
she's
about it. I love
she's
Wendy.
she's amazing, and she is the kind of a person. Everybody that meets her, on my job, because I'm working several different areas. Everybody loves my wife. Every time I mention her name, oh my gosh, how is Wendy? People never even seen her. They never laid eyes on her. I know your wife is gorgeous. I just know. Oh, she's such a wonderful person. Oh, she's this. And these are all women, and most of them are young women that really admire Wendy. Now, rather than them trying to, hit on me, when they meet Wendy, they like her better than they like me. I don't know how I feel about that, but these were people that were my friends, and I literally had a television producer tell me, "James, we like you, but we love Wendy." I
Mm,
said, "Thank you. That's so kind." But it's because of who she is, what the treasure she carries in her heart and in her mind. And that's what attracted me to her. That's what drew me to her,
mm,
And so it's really a blessing to me to understand that it's important to maintain the admiration for your mate,
mm.
even if you're
And
not married. Go ahead.
right. Yeah, and I was just gonna say, and that admiration has to be expressed
It can't
because
help it.
no, but some people actually admire, but they struggle to express it. And what
Okay.
happens is when you're storing it, that other person doesn't know the admiration you have for that because you can really admire someone, but it's all boggling and it's all inside. You're not expressing it. And
Yeah.
that can be harmful to a relationship
Well,
because that other person is not, they're not going to read your mind. They can't read
yeah, that's
anything
true.
about you. And
That's
I think
true.
it's really,
Yeah.
really important.
That's true. I kind of see it where I see your point, but I kind of see it where if if you have true admiration, it's something you can't, you may not be able to express it, but it's going to be felt.
Mm,
If someone admires you and they're having a conversation with you, you know it. If they think well of you, if they think highly of you, you're going to know it. You're gonna feel it. You may not really know that they admire you. I told my friend, she's like my little sister. I told her years ago, I said, if a man doesn't admire you and he tells you he loves you, he's lying. He has to admire you in order to love you.
mm.
Because otherwise, ego, selfishness, all those other survival animalistic traits come to the forefront. Admiration, love, uh, giving, sharing. These are spiritual traits
Mm,
that come from the Creator and flow through us into the earth. The
yes.
animalistic nature is lustful. It's selfish. It's about survival. I'm eating the last piece of pizza. I'm eating the last piece of cake, even though you know that your wife was saving it, your husband was saving it, but you're gonna eat it. I heard a guy tell me, he said, "Man, I'm not there yet. If it's the last piece in there, I'm gonna eat it." And
Yeah.
to me, I'm not like that.
Mm,
I'm not like that. I used to be like that,
mm,
but
mm,
I have transcended that type of survivalist mentality. And many people live in the realm of sexuality So
Yeah.
appetites and survival.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those three energy centers.
Yeah, I must say, I just want to share that my father is like that, where he just shares his last bite with my mom, even
Mm.
till this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they're in their 80s, and it's just so beautiful to see. In fact, my my parents shared that before we came along as children, my brother and I, they actually used to eat out of the same plate. That's
Oh
how
wow.
much love they shared together,
Now
and
see,
still do now.
ooh,
Of course, they don't eat out of the same plate, but it was just this thing they had, that they would share everything, and eating out of the same plate and feeding each other.
oh
So,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
really funny to think of your parents doing that, but
yeah.
it's true, and I can really see that, because my father just adores, admires my mum, and even till
See,
this day, when they walk, they're holding hands, they're little steps, but they're still walking, holding hands.
that's what it's all about. And the things we do and say can enhance or be a detraction for that admiration and for that love. Now, true, love is intended to, love by its nature gives without expectation of compensation or return. Love endures all things. Love supports all things. Love gives life and light and hope and strength and so many other wonderful things. But that love is also a decision that can be revoked if provoked. I want to
Please.
say that again.
Yes.
Love is a decision that can be revoked if it is provoked.
So, let's go a little deeper on that one. An example would be great.
Okay. The greatest example of provoking the revocation of admiration and love is infidelity.
Mhm.
Now, that infidelity doesn't have to be sexual. It can be you putting your mother ahead of your spouse. A lot of guys are married to their mamas.
Yeah.
They're tied to their mom. They can't get away. Um, they as soon as something, they're running over there. They're taking money over there. You can barely make ends meet. Your ends haven't seen each other since heck was a pup. All right, and you're taking the little you have over there to your sister or to your family. Well, that's my family. Well, what am I? Well, you just my wife. That's my family. All right. That's you. You're taking away. You're tearing down the bridge. You're emptying out your love bank. You're draining the account of the love balance and
Mm.
the admiration that needs to be in there. It needs to be in there because what it does when things go sideways, you have years and months and weeks of positive reinforcement and love and demonstration that can offset a misstep. But if all you got is a basket full of missteps, that's like having a basket full of rotten apples. What you going to do with them other than throw them at somebody? You can't cook with them. You're not going to eat them. They got worms in them. Many people are walking around with their love basket full of rotten apples, rotten fruit, instead of fresh, beautiful, freshly picked fruit. And you
Mm.
have to replace the fruit constantly
Oh, yeah.
because fruit and flowers by nature, they begin to decompose and go into corruption. And that's how it is. In a relationship, you have to continuously replenish that love, replenish that admiration, replenish. And that's why it's so important to go out of your way, be uncomfortable, go out of your way, do those things that are difficult for your mate, for your loved one, for your children, for even people that you have a friendship with. Go out of your way for them
Mm.
because what you're doing is you're filling that relationship basket with fresh produce, fresh fruit, fresh flowers, the things of beauty that enhance that. If one person is always taking the apples, eating them, and another person is steadily putting them in, you're gonna get tired of that.
Yeah. I was just going to say, what happens if we have an off balance there, because there are some relationships where one person is constantly giving, 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 and the other one's taking, taking, taking. And I know it's a decision for a person to be, that also is a decision to be giving, giving, and
Sure.
also knowing there is an off balance, because it's not about, okay, what's in it for me, but you can't be giving so much that it's going to deplete you, right?
Yeah, because what happened, resentment sets in.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
again, once resentment sets in, oftentimes um, a woman has certain needs emotionally. Men think that if he stirred muffins in the bedroom, that's all she needs. But I read a book
Stud
once.
muffins, is that an American term?
I don't know. That's a word I use. If he stirred muffins in the bedroom, that's all she needs. Yeah, I put it on her last night, you know. But that is a physiological need that
Mm,
you can only do for maybe 30, 40 minutes. If you're younger, maybe a couple of hours. But what are you going to do with the other 22 hours of the day
correct.
and the other 6 days of the week? So it's not just about that. I read a book, His Needs, Her Needs, and the number one thing that every woman desired more than sex, crazy sex, more so than a handsome, romantic man, they wanted security.
And stability, and stability.
Security and stability.
Yeah.
Because when you have those things, you feel safe, you feel cared for, you feel valued
Mhm. Mhm.
because this person is going out of their way to value you. And it can be reversed. That woman can value that man as well. It's not a one-way street. It goes both ways for men and women,
Yes, absolutely.
And so when you realize that and you understand, hey, I need to make her know that she is number one. She is most important, that I will forego getting something that I really desire to get
Mm,
her what I know she desires. And she don't even have to know I'm going to get it.
mm. And I just wanna just take it a step back, and talking about stability and security for a woman, that when you talked about, yourself and Wendy, I think that's a really great example where you your love is so strong, your admiration for her is so strong. When you have that with a woman, or versa, there's no room for jealousy. There's no room for insecurity, because I think sometimes what happens, I've seen it many times. That's definitely, you know, catastrophe in a relationship, because that foundation isn't so strong, that understanding, that love, and that giving to each other, that even though you may be giving and sharing love with everyone else, it doesn't mean it's taken away from your relationship. And I want to just quickly share an example of this. It just really struck me. I went away on a dancing convention, and I danced for 3 days and 3 nights. It was just amazing and mind blowing. And there was this one couple, and usually the instructors are a husband and wife team, simply because, or if they're not husband and wife, they're a partner in some kind of relationship, intimate relationship. And there was one couple who were from Vienna, and she was from Croatia, and he was from Spain.
Hmm.
And they not only worked together amazingly, but you could just feel and see the love they had for each other
Mm.
when they were together, and yet when they were apart and dancing with other couples, because that's what they do. And when you're um, connecting your body with someone else's body, and it's, Latin music is somewhat very
Very,
sensual,
very, very passionate.
passionate, and sexual, because it's all sexual type movements, I guess. But, that's all it was. It was, you know, a job and then coming together. They were just strong as. There was no uh, deviation in their energy between each other. It was just dynamic. And I really saw that as a couple because, I'm always observing and watching couples and
Yeah.
relationships and the way people interact. And I thought, yes, they've got it. They understand it. They
Yeah.
know what it's all about. It's about just giving to each other.
Yeah. And it's not only that, Stefania, it is that they have transcended that physicality of their relationship. Yeah, we carry out our relationships in physical bodies,
Mm,
but our interaction, once you reach a certain spiritual plane, it's beyond the physical. It is a intangible, genuine love that's shared, admiration, and all of those other words that I used that fuse them together as forming a soul tie, or as they call them, soul flames or something like that. But
mm, mm,
they have become so entwined spiritually
mm.
and emotionally and mentally that dancing is something they enjoy doing. To them, dancing with another person is no different than them riding a bike with somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an
And you
exercise.
exactly. And can I just add to this? Because you said, that when other women are like in your presence, they're all drawn to her, to Wendy, as opposed to you. And this couple, like she was stunning and he was gorgeous, like just as a real stunning couple, like you and Wendy, right?
Why, thank you.
And, you know, there was no disrespect with anyone because, sometimes you've always got a rotten apple in the crowd,
Sure,
right? That's gonna
sure.
cry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They wouldn't even dare because they understood the boundaries through energy. That's what was really dynamic.
That's it.
That's what was really like, wow to me. Because again, just observing all
Yeah.
that, as much as it was a
Wow.
dance convention, it was also, just so much content for
See,
me to bring onto the, shows when I
that, man, that's powerful what you just said,
yeah.
because I was just telling my wife yesterday that I like the fact that there's something about her that guys don't hit on her. They just look at her and they see she's no nonsense. There's a vibe that she gives off.
Mm.
And women used to hit on me a lot until I got with Wendy. When I got with Wendy, no, I'm serious. I used to tell her different stuff. Baby, this happened because people do some crazy things, and I
Mhm.
would tell her every time. I say, babe, look, this what happened today. So if what happened. Um, but there's something about her way that commands respect, where men have great respect for her. The CEO of a television company that I'm with, JD3 TV, he has so much regard and respect for Wendy. The way I listen to the way he talks to her, I listen to the way other people on the staff refer to her, and I told her, I said, baby, I just love it, and she just laughs, you know. But you're so right, because when you have that, it's tangible,
Mhm.
just as in another relationship, when you have the opposite situation where they are a vacuum to the opposite sex because that tie isn't there, so there's an opening.
Right.
Hey, I'm for sale. Whoever's interested, you
Yeah.
know, I'm
So
stud muffins, 2 for $3. You know, I'm open, I'm cheap, I'm available. And
yes,
that's an energy you can give off, and you will draw to you what you are. Remember,
exactly.
I said you cannot attract what you're not,
Not exactly, which
and
takes
you
that
can't
down.
not attract what you are.
Yes, absolutely.
I know that's poor English, but it makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Which, I guess we simplify it, we're just mirrors to each other.
We are,
We
really.
are just, attracting like attracts like. So, wow, this has been quite an interesting conversation, hasn't it?
It
So,
has.
I'm loving it, loving it. So, energetic boundaries, spiritual boundaries, or whatever you want to call them, is very is powerful, and I think this is something that would you say is built, like it's something that is acquired, because you need it from both sides.
Yes. It is
Can't just
built.
have one person, because sometimes it can happen where one person has got all the energy the energetic boundary setting, but then another person hasn't. I
Yeah.
mean, and if
It's
it's
in Yeah, a lot of times that's the case where um, she could be a very attractive woman. She's used to being complimented. She's accustomed to guys falling at her feet. He's the kind of guy he couldn't get attention if he paid for it. But somehow they got together and he's so grateful that she took him for whatever the reason. Maybe he makes a good salary or whatever. Um, and he feels beholding to her for her stepping down to his level. And there are people who think this way. And
mm,
conversely, there can be men, and a lot of men, especially narcissistic men, that will look for someone that's insecure, that it has weaknesses, and they want to take that person because they can control them. They can work the strings and cook, clean, iron my clothes, have the babies, cook my dinner. I'm going out. I'll be back when I get back. You know,
yes.
and and in those situations, it can't develop. But where you have a mutual, that's why it's so important to pay attention and don't allow your hormones, don't allow the oxytocin to dictate who you choose to partner your life with. You
Mm,
can't you cannot base a financial future on a temporary currency. You cannot base a long-term relationship on temporary emotional currency.
I like
You
that.
you
I like the way
can't,
you phrase that.
because it's gonna drop. Just as sure as water is wet, it's gonna drop. So you have to base it on things that what can you control? You can control how much you love that person, because again, love is a decision. You
Mm,
decide how much you're going to give. You decide how much more you're going to give. I'm going to love you more next month than I did this month. I'm going to love you in a different way this month than I did last month. One month I may give you, another time I may do this, or I may do things that you normally have to do that you find to be a drudgery. I
mm,
do those things.
mm,
And there's a feeling of appreciation that happens when you take on someone else's drudgery. And they know you don't like doing this, but you're doing it as unto them. You see
mm.
what I'm saying? That
Yes.
is a gift. When you give of yourself that way, that's how you build. Your mom and dad gave. That couple, that dancing couple, they gave to each other over time. That didn't happen on a one night stand.
No, no,
That
definitely.
didn't happen on eHarmony. On we had three
Plenty of
dates and that
fish,
was it. Huh?
plenty of fish,
Yeah,
plenty
plenty
of
of
fish.
fish. It doesn't happen. It's there is sacrifice, there is effort, just like in farming.
Mm, mm.
My
I
mother
think
had a
Go ahead, your mother?
my mother had a garden in suburbs of Chicago, and it had to be a half an acre or something. I hated going out there, but I liked eating the fruit and the vegetables that came out of it.
Mm,
But it took work to generate that. We
mm.
want to eat of the fruit of genuine love, but we don't want to put in the work. We don't want to put in the sacrifice.
Mm,
Wendy and I went to counseling for 18 months before we got married.
beautiful.
18 months we went through it. And some of it was difficult, but she had a suitcase to unpack. I had a trunk that I needed to unpack. No, really, I did.
Yeah,
I had a whole steamer trunk with the straps and everything that
everything.
I had to unpack.
Which
But
this is what I want to, if I can interrupt for a second, and
sure.
I wanted to ask you a question, which I think is going to be, really relevant, particularly to the gentlemen that are listening. Hopefully, we do have a lot of men going to be listening to this because I think you are a prime example. You said earlier, and I know we've spoken before, you were never always like this.
No,
You weren't always like this. Never
no,
always. Not good grammar. You had a very colorful past
I was a player.
and you had a colorful life in all sorts of ways, right?
I did. I
Right.
did. I was a musician. I
So,
was a musician. I was a drug dealer and I was a musician. I wasn't a major drug dealer, but I sold drugs,
right.
and
So, and you weren't a giver, you were mainly a taker, like you were,
I was indeed.
right.
Yep.
So you've obviously flipped your life around and you've done a 360-degree, turnaround. And there may be people that may not be, in that high quality, high colorful air, state that you're in. They may be in between, but still a bit of color. What would, how can you do this? What would you say are the first steps in trying to be more present in a relationship and try and be that giver, and be in a relationship and have that love, all that you're talking about?
It began for me. It began with me discovering that there was a God who was real, not just a religious entity, but a genuine spiritual being that was concerned about me. And from that, with that awakening and me accepting that God into my life as my savior, as my redeemer, it enabled me to step back and see what my life was and how it was so unfulfilling. Because, I mean, just being blunt and candid, I would be with one woman, and in my mind, I'm planning the next one that I'm going to conquer while I'm with her physically. For that same night, I'm planning the next one I'm going to be with because I was looking for fulfillment and I didn't understand sex or alcohol or marijuana or hashish or PCP or cocaine. None of those things could provide me with the fulfillment I needed. So first I had to find fulfillment for myself. And once I found that and understood God's love, what that love really was, it enabled me to recognize what I was supposed to do. I looked at what the Creator had done for me, even though I didn't deserve it. So I understood that love is not what you deserve. Love is what someone chooses to offer you. And it's
Mm,
up to you to accept it. So once I did that, the next step is you have to find the person that resonates and vibrates in the same way. And the more you become
yes,
that person, you will draw that person into your world.
absolutely. Say that again because this is just so gold. We need to repeat this. The more you become,
The more you become the person you desire to have, the more you become that person inwardly, then you have the capability of drawing to you a person that has the same thing within them, that same desire to give love, that same desire to be admired and to admire, to offer esteem and respect, and to make sacrifices for, and um, to carry that person's baggage for them when they're unable.
mm,
Now there are times you can do all of that, and a person can change on you. And then you got a decision to make.
Mhm.
Am I going to stay here with this? Am I going to tolerate this? If they shifted from who they were when you contracted with them in this relationship, they've changed and they're pointing at you saying you're the problem. Well, if I'm the problem, I tell you what, since I'm the problem, I'm going to eliminate the problem from your life. How's that? That's what I did. That's what I will do. And I do not believe in staying where I'm not celebrated. I
Mm.
do not believe in being where I am not celebrated, where I'm not esteemed, where I'm not loved with the same level of love that I'm giving.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. Some people, they stay there, but they emotionally, they're gone. They're physically going elsewhere trying to find fulfillment, but you can't. The law
Yes.
of physics says you cannot, two objects can't occupy the same space at the same time.
Right.
Well, the converse is true. You can't occupy two different spaces at the same time. If you're still here, you can't be over there. You can't.
Yes.
Even if
Absolutely.
you ricochet rabbit, you can't do it.
Yes. Yes. And Wendy says facts. Absolutely. Facts. Because if you're putting up with that, you're really not loving yourself.
You're not.
You're not loving yourself. You're not loving God because you are part of God. And
And,
God doesn't want that for you.
yeah.
So,
And how fast is life going? The
yeah.
older we get, I look at when I was a kid, Stefania, when I was a child, when I was 11, 12, the summers lasted, looked like for 6 months. Now it's like 3 weeks, summer's gone.
Yeah, I know.
And I find that the older I get, the faster the summers go by.
Mm. I think young people are saying the same thing, even younger people, like in their teens.
Yeah.
They're actually
So
saying how life is just going so fast.
it is.
So it's precious, and we have to really enjoy.
Every moment matters. Every relationship matters. If a relationship is not feeding, encouraging, or is bringing esteem into my world, and I'm bringing esteem into that person's world, why bother with it?
Mhm.
What's the
Yeah.
point? You're going to eat cardboard. There's no nutritious value in cardboard. Maybe some fiber,
Mm.
but not good fiber.
Yes, and just quickly, I just wanted to I know we've talked about it just earlier on, but going back to when we are giving and loving, and you obviously, you and Wendy, I'll use you as an example, you had 18 months of counseling before you got married because
Mhm.
she had baggage and you had a trunk, right?
I
With
did. I had a steamer trunk.
steamer trunk.
Yes.
So I think that is also something that, we need to take in consideration because sometimes we, as much as we want to love, we are stuck. I won't say we can't because that's a choice. We want to, we really try, but we're blocked. We can't release. And that's where the counseling, the therapy comes in really handy because we need to clean up
Oh
and
yeah.
let go and surrender all that garbage,
Yeah.
like, the fridge or putting fresh apples in the fridge. We
Hmm.
need to take out all the rotten ones, give it a good
Yes.
clean up to then be able to put the fresh,
You
juicy,
you you
yummy
said that. You said that beautifully. That is an exquisite analogy because and that's something we continuously have to do.
Yes, yes, I was
Continuously
bingo,
identify that stuff, man. I
because it
remember.
never goes away. That's the thing. We can, I won't say use the word control, but we can learn to release and let go a lot quicker than what we used to before. 'Cause sometimes we can hang on to stuff a lot longer than what we really need to. So it's habitual. It's behaviors that we have stored, particularly in our
Yeah.
subconscious mind, that we can slip back. So we need to constantly keep
Yeah.
cleaning,
Let me
releasing.
let me let me say this too. This just came to me. we live in a world now where people are more spiritually aware,
Mm-hmm.
and our society is becoming divided spiritually and financially into two groups. Both groups are the haves and the have-nots. Financially, you have people who are financially well off and those who are struggling. You have people who are spiritually well off. They're evolving. They have transcended and they have transformed their consciousness to a higher realm. And there are others who have not. And those who are in relationships with people who are in opposite places,
Mm.
they're running into a problem because the enlightened person is no longer willing to tolerate any Neanderthalic behavior, be it from the husband or the wife or the male or the female, whatever the case may be. And that's why you see so many women in their 50s filing for divorce. 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you didn't see that.
No.
People married 20 years, 25 years, 27 years, 30 years, filing for divorce because she has become enlightened. He has become enlightened and realizes that I have become more than what I've been, and you have no desire to no longer be what you've been. So I can no longer be to you what I've been, which is you've been a hindrance to me. You've not given me what I needed. I've been starved. And the
Mm.
same thing happens financially. One
Yeah.
person's making more money than the other. It causes problems. It
Yeah.
can cause problems, because you're not contributing to the house. You're not bringing in, well, you make enough money. No, you need to get out and do something because we're a team. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well,
And then,
I always say that a relationship is a team. Yes, it's like a business too. You got to keep investing in it, and
yeah,
so you've
you
got to
do.
keep investing.
Yes,
How can I
yes,
contribute more into this relationship? How can I contribute
yes.
more into this business? When you are in a partnership in a business with a business associate, what do? You don't just step back and let that other person, or you won't even allow that other person to step back and you do all the work, right? There is
No,
a an agreement. It's a given. It's a half thing, right?
yeah, I'm doing the work. You want to split the profits? I don't think so. I'll
Mhm.
buy you out. I'll buy you out. You can sell me your part, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work, and that's the reason it doesn't, because of the difference that those people have to grow together, and that's something um, that we have not spoken it really or said it, but we do it. I'm constantly pushing Wendy to be better. I forego opportunities to do certain things and push her to participate in certain things because I see the gifting in her. And
Beautiful.
she pushes me the same way. And so because we're pushing each other and esteeming each other, we're both constantly moving forward, both financially and spiritually. So
Yes.
we try to maintain that even keel. One person is always a little bit ahead of the other, but hey, you're linked together. So you come on, I'm gonna pull you, you pull me.
Yeah,
And
pulling
that's
each other up.
key. Yeah, and it goes all the way back to the beginning. Find that person that
Mhm.
has within them what's in you. Now, if
Exactly.
you got some garbage in you,
Clean it up first. Get rid of it.
clean it up, or you're gonna wind up in a garbage heap in your
Yeah.
house. Your house is gonna be a garbage dump.
Yes, yes. I just
Yeah.
really want to mention what Wendy says here. People put more value, time, and money into the wedding day, yes,
Mm.
and not
Ooh,
investing into
yeah.
the relationship. Oh my God. How often do
Yes.
you see that? Like they've got beautiful weddings, glamorous gowns and venues, reception centers, and just all the foo-foo, I
Yeah.
call it. And then they're not investing in their relationship. And I think I'm gonna go back to what you said. I'm just blown away. 18 months of counseling. I think everybody should have counseling if they do decide to get married or if they want to stay in a long relationship together. You don't have to get married to have counseling. You can still be in a relationship and seek
Mhm.
counseling together because you want to move in the same direction. and
I'm
grow
gonna say
together.
this. I'm gonna say this because um, it's true. Before we had counseling, I would blow up about things because of my trunk, things from my childhood, my adolescence, my adulthood, things that I was carrying around that I didn't realize were affecting my behavior and how I
Mm,
related and interacted. And once those things were discovered, we didn't have those issues anymore.
no.
So a lot of times when you deal with your crap, when you deal with it, shovel it out of your life, it's not stinking up your relationship.
Mm, no.
Deal with the crap, shovel it out of your life so you can enjoy the beauty that your relationship can be.
Yes. Amen to that. Wow. This has been exciting, been great conversation, Dr. James. Thank you to your presence and thank you. I really appreciate you, appreciate your time for being on the show. As always, it's a great pleasure to be conversing with you.
Well, it's an honor for me, truly. You know that. You know that. I I mean, we developed a great friendship, and I appreciate you and your gifting in the earth and the purpose for which you were born. And I love the way you're defeating those things that would try to hinder you from executing and demonstrating your gifting. So you continue to fight and you continue to push because what you're doing is necessary and needed, and many lives are enhanced, and there'll be many happy people because of what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's chimed in. And of course, thank you to the audience out there. If you're not obviously seeing this on live, but you're watching it on a replay, please feel free to comment, ask any questions. We're only going to, we'll read through the feed and get back to you. If there's any questions, any topics that you would like us to talk about here on Let's Talk Relationship, please let us know. And don't forget to, I just want to mention to people on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like and share. Also here on Facebook. And yeah, always happy to share with you. James, thanks once again.
Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
And
I've enjoyed it.
we'll see you again. And thank you, everybody. And just quickly, Wendy, she has one more message here. We love you, Stefania. Your platform is so important. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Love you too. Love you too. And as always, sending everybody lots of love and passion. Bye for now.